Okay, everybody, this is it. Hopefully all of you can hear me. If you do me a favor, please turn off your microphone, mute yourself, except for Ted and Chris. Everybody else, if you can mute yourself, that would be helpful.
Whoa, that's really crazy shit, man.
And if somehow
I'm putting a helmet on for this one, God only knows.
All right. Put on your protective gear, Ted.
Hold on.
Well,
this is a great helmet, I'm telling you.
Whoever has the chirping, can you turn that off, please?
Is it like cricket chirping?
It's cricket chirping.
Yeah, cricket chirping.
That's me, guys. Nothing I can do about it. It's just where I live.
Are those actual
Oh my
crickets?
God, that's legit?
Yeah, those are actually frogs.
Okay.
Holy crap.
Well, listen.
Dude, oh my God. You're on the you're soaking up the last vestiges of the last days of on the homestead, aren't you?
It is coming through my ears into my bloodstream and staying in my life forever. This is it.
No doubt about it, man. What a sweet little place you have there.
Yeah, man.
Damn.
Guys, you guys, hold
Dude,
on.
I gotta ask you, what is on your head? Are you actually?
Yeah, it took me
you
3
actually
years to
receiving
get this
signals
thing.
from
It
outer
was one of
space?
those, they have a, what is it called, like a Kickstarter. 3 years later it came. You put your hand up here and then it gives you a blinker front and back. I don't need it anymore, but figured it might
Are you actually
today's proceedings.
Are you actually getting
hat.
messages from your space overlords?
Can't put on a better hat. There.
Can you guys hear me? Chris, Ted, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. So we're actually going to record this conversation. So I need to introduce you, introduce myself and producer Kevin. So we're recording this as an episode of the Road Dog podcast. And both Christopher McDougall and Ted McDonald have been guests on the Road Dog podcast. And their episodes have been two of the most successful episodes that we've produced. And so I thought it would be a great idea to get the two of you together for a few minutes this evening and just interact and talk and maybe share some stories together. I want to really quickly let you know that our producer, Kevin Lyons, is on the call as well. And I want to remind, we have about 30 people that are part of this call right now. If you're on the call, if you can mute yourself, except for Chris and Ted, everybody else, if you can mute yourself, that would be helpful. So anyway, producer Kevin Lyons is on the call, and he is the one that makes the Road Dog podcast happen. Chris McDougall, where are you right now?
I am right next to my window at our house in Peach Bottom, Pennsylvania, but only for like 6 more days, man, and then we're bugging out for good.
Unbelievable.
So you're moving. Where are you going?
It's funny. My wife is listening on this call right now, and she's already there. We're moving back to her homeland in Hawaii.
What island?
Dude, every time the camera goes to Ted, it's a completely different picture. Like for a second, he wasn't.
Sorry, man. Come on.
And then he comes back in different costumes.
Stay focused.
Maybe what I'll do.
We're moving to Oahu, man. Dude, not only are we on Oahu, we're in Kailua, right next to your old boy Tyler.
Oh, great. Yeah. Tyler Tajima.
Yeah.
So hopefully you'll be seeing him and interacting with him when you're there. Maybe what I should do is get out of the way.
Went for a run with him.
Maybe what I should do is get out of the way and maybe let Ted interview you. So Ted McDonald is here, the founder of the.
Why do you always throw me on the spot like this? He like hands me a hey, sing a song. Make it up right now. Hey, give a talk to 1,000 people about any topic. I mean, come on, man.
Okay, well let me ask.
Chris, let's see. Chris kid.
Ted, where are you? Where are you right now?
What did you expect, man?
I am sitting on my desk that happens to also be the kitchen table. So my office is the kitchen. So over there is where I do my, kitchen and office work. Here with my 6-year-old version of myself reminding me of how awesome 1970 was and what my dreams were, sits up here to keep me motivated. And out the window over there, you might be able to kind of see, is kind of like the heaven that I live in called Santa Barbara. So I'm kind of like ensconced in this little fort that's a kitchen and an office and a lookout, and I like it here. And I plan on staying here as long as I can. Matter of fact, I'm going to tie myself to the house, and I'll go down like with Moby Dick. I'm not leaving. You got to drag me out of here. Bones, heart, no other. The spirit's staying here. Sorry.
The question was, where are you, Ted?
Yeah.
Give us some more information. Give us some more information. I don't feel like I
Hey, look, my mom says this.
Yet.
Yeah, my mom says this. Ask Barefoot Ted what time it is. He tells you how to build a clock.
Ted, how's things going in Seattle? I know that you've been spending some time there recently. What's going on?
Woo, I'm telling you, man, it's big wave riding. I mean, you know, we're thankful, very, very thankful to have to be keeping our business going and growing in the midst of all, as you know, we're all in it, and being able to be productive and being able to have being able to live, and I just love being able to go down there and really help out. It's been amazing. There was that 8-week period where basically Liv and I and one other worker were basically running the whole thing, and it was pretty wacky, man. Those would be the war stories, you know. And then we were back last week for 10 days as Scott's come back and he's helping us, but he had a vacation planned, and so anyway, I've been going, you know, it's crazy shit, but you know, it's always crazy shit. If you examine world history, you'll understand crazy shit happens a lot. You float, you try to keep your head above water. My grandma used to say, keep your head above water, Teddy.
Chris, what are you doing to that cat? And also, the cat's on your phone and it's making a lot of sound. Producer Kevin, how are you going to deal with all this ambience?
Yeah, Chris has, it sounds like Chris is in the middle of a frog orgy. And he's like encouraging them. He's like, come on, show them what you can do. Come on.
So
you gotta quiet down all that squawking over there, McDougall. Jesus Christ.
You know what? I'm getting messages from my wife at the same time telling me, quit moving the camera. You're making too much noise. It's distracting. All right, I'm going to get on my game, man.
I don't know, Chris. I don't know if it's the camera or your headphone microphone on your collar is making a bunch of sound, which is cool. Just hold still. Don't be petting your cat and all that stuff that you're doing.
Okay.
Was that euphemistic for
this is I think my first the frog orgy.
So,
in case you can't tell, this is my first Zoom video conference.
Is this really the first time you've been on a group call like this?
You're surprised?
No.
You really can't tell?
So, yeah. Chris,
look,
honestly, I thought Ted would be the one fucking.
Jesus.
I thought Ted would be the one fucking things up, and I didn't realize it was going to be me.
Chris, tell me about your move.
Yeah.
Are you selling your home in Pennsylvania, or what's happening with that? And you're moving in 6 days. Are you all packed up and ready to go?
Pretty much, man. Yeah, it was a full-on bug out. We just got this idea like in June. It just started to click like this year, particularly where we are. It's so remote out here. We're on the, Ted's been here. Right, Ted? I mean, there's nothing around. Our only neighbors are Amish farmers. And I thought, you know what, man, if we go into another lockdown this year, I don't want to be stuck out here with clearly shitty internet and limited technological skills and be snowed in. And so we've been thinking on a move to Hawaii for years. And I thought, you know, man, let's just pull the ripcord. Let's just go now. And so in like no time at all, we sold the house, sold the cars, rehomed all the animals, found a great home for Sherman, great homes for the sheep and the goats. And that was it. In a matter of like 5 weeks, we just cleared out the whole operation and relocated it to the Pacific.
Wow.
Absolutely amazing.
And how are your daughters doing?
Yeah, it's nuts.
How are your daughters doing, Chris?
Well, it's tricky. I thought they would be gung-ho. I thought they'd be going for it, but I just underestimated what it's like to rip kids away from the only home they've ever known their entire lives. And this is a special place too. Like Ted's been here, man. It's a really weird, unique little hollow we live in the middle of Pennsylvania Amish country. And I just forgot that this is the only home my kids have ever lived in, and they're really attached to it. So I think it was a bit of an abrupt catapulting for them. So they're a little unhappy with me. But this is one of those rare moments you feel like, just follow me, man, because I think I got the right move here. This is the way to go.
Well, that's unusual, Chris, because I find that teenage girls are pretty happy with moving suddenly.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I got to tell you, man, this is not a teenage girl thing. This is like a slightly egocentric, self-involved dude not being thoughtful to people around him. So I got to take the bruises on this one. This is my fault.
Well, what I was hoping to do with this podcast today, like I said, we have about 30 people that are watching and that have been wanting to be part of this. And so what I'd like to do is open up the floor to questions or interaction. So if everybody turns their microphones on, it'll be a mess. But if each of you, if anybody has a question for Ted or Christopher or for me, raise your hand, physically raise your hand. I can see you, and then we can. So yeah, Clint Welsh, why don't you unmute yourself and tell us, Clint, where are you right now? How's life, and what is your question?
I'm in Sacramento. Life's different, but it's good, healthy. Everything's good. Question that sprang to my mind right away is you kept saying that Ted has been to your house, but you said you live in Amish country. Did Ted go interact with the Amish people?
Oh, yeah. I feel like – yeah. So there's a great Amish running club out here called Vela Springa. These guys are hardcore runners. Ted, that was an amazing adventure that day. It just came flooding back to my mind. So, Clint, what happened was Ted was out here, and my Amish running buddies were going to go for a Sunday afternoon run on this gorgeous remote trail in the woods out here in Lancaster. And it was me and Ted and Liv and Yogi the dog and a bunch of Amish buddies. And we ran into the woods, and about a mile into the woods, we found this woman who had kind of passed out from heat exhaustion. And she's stranded in the woods. And we ended up carrying her, like firemen carrying her out of the woods. And I was just trying to get the message through to her was, do you understand how weird this is? You're being carried out of the woods by an Amish ultramarathoner and Barefoot Ted. I hope you do the research to understand how cosmically strange your life is at this moment. Yeah.
And then it started to rain.
We basically ran for cover. Yeah. We got her out just in time. I mean, it was a hellacious hurricane thunderstorm.
Yep.
So, yeah, and answer your question, Ted, Barefoot Ted didn't interact with the Amish, and it was just exactly as weird as you would expect.
Well, those guys came to the factory, remember, the year before. Can you explain, Christopher, that thing they do when they kind of have to leave the community for a while and sort of intermix with us and all of that? That's very important. That'll help be a background on the story.
Yeah, so these guys, there's a thing called Rumspringa, which literally means run wild. And their running club is called Vela Springa, which means let's all run. And so these guys, actually, I tell their whole story in Running with Sherman about how they created this running club. And these guys have turned into serious hardcore marathoners. These guys are sub 3-hour marathoners. They have won Ragnar relays and they do a thing every month. It's a full moon run. Well, they'll gather at someone's farm and they'll go for a 10-mile run with no lights, just under the full moon out in the Amish countryside. And I was at one of those runs, and as soon as we finished the run, these guys started packing up a van. They were driving cross country to Seattle to be in a Ragnar relay. I said, hey, while you're there, you got to call Ted. And, they called Ted, and typical Ted, he opened the doors of the factory, made him at home. They were actually sleeping on the floor there, weren't they?
Yeah, they did. They slept at the factory. We gave them some sandals. I taught them how to ride the solo wheel. Remember? That was incredible. So yeah, they came and lived. They were. I mean, look, where Chris, the setting where Chris has been living. I mean, I was it was abrupt, but the whole family there, Hawaii is a huge part of the McDougall household too. Let's face it. You know, that's the other counterpoise to their life in Amish countries. They've got this whole Hawaii thing. And matter of fact, they have the film. What's that film you guys watch 50 times? Whatever. It's set in Hawaii, and Ben Stiller's got
51st Dates.
Yeah, that
51st
the
Dates. Adam
McDougall
Sandler.
family is like addicted to this film. Like they've watched it how many times, Chris? I mean, it's like so they live in Amish country, and and their other home is Hawaii. I mean, it's like the other side of the universe. But there you have it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anybody else have a question for Chris or Ted or myself or for producer Kevin? Maria, welcome.
Yeah, hi, I have a question for the three of you.
Wait a minute, Maria. Introduce yourself. Where are you? Who are you?
Oh, where am I? Who am I? What's my story? Where are you from?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a simple farmer's daughter from Indiana, working in the field since I was 3 years old.
What's your question?
The only daughter was brothers, and that's how I got involved into sports and athletics, and then all the hippie stuff for my Native American tribe. But anyway.
Hey, look at that. How did Ted do that?
But now I'm sweating it in the Valley of the Sun in Phoenix and Tempe, Arizona. And my doggy, Guadaluco's doing well. My question is, though, to the three of you, because Chris, you wrote this incredible story and connected a lot of people, and beyond your wildest dreams, it became a top-selling book. But most journalists, you know, move forward and move on to other projects, other subjects. So what do you think is so special between the three of you that you continue this friendship, this relationship, and support one another? What do you think is the key to that between the three of you? Because that doesn't happen
I
much.
think about that a lot.
With journalists, it doesn't happen
probably
much.
Happens less for me. Yeah, I mean, I think it happens less for me than with most people because I live a pretty isolated life. There sometimes weeks will go by and the only person I'll talk to is the mailman. And so I don't really have many close friends. And the fact that I feel this really deep kinship, like this family love for all these guys, and I will not see some of them. I hadn't seen Jen Shelton in a few years. And then I was just in Salt Lake recently for an event back in the fall. And Jen rocked up, and it was like seeing a sister again. You know, we just sort of picked up. It was great to see her. And then we move on. Whenever I hear from Billy, I'm always super excited. And you, Maria, whenever you come to town, too, it's the same thing. I'm always super happy to see you. And I really wonder what sparked it. And I have a feeling it wasn't because of what happened down there. It's what brought us there in the first place. That I think that there was a common mutated DNA that brought us down to the Canyon for that adventure. And that's what we were bonded. We were bonded before we met, you know. I think we're all similar people. And that's why we got along so well and really liked each other. Do you ever see Muppets from Space? When Gonzo realizes where he came from and meets his fellow weirdos, that's what I think I felt like when I met you guys down in El Paso.
What are your thoughts, Ted?
Well, you know, it's like that's a very, I hadn't really thought of it that way, Chris. So that's cool. I mean, yes, I mean, that's why do we all end up in that, you know, that bar in El Paso? Why are we seeking? Why are we trying to meet Caballo? What has drawn us down there? There's some part of us all that we're sharing this. We're obviously very willing to adventure and take a little bit of a risk to see what it's like. And, you know, the word adventure life is an adventure after all. What that means is you don't know what the hell is going to happen. Nobody knows. And so attitude has some element to it, and kind of that curiosity and that willingness to be vulnerable after all. And if you share that kind of experience with anybody, A, to get there in the first place, and then B, to actually get there and get out and have a story to tell. And then of course, you know, so even we could say with great confidence, even if you never wrote the book Born to Run, we would have had and still have this very powerful experience that is undeniable. And thankfully, you know, you had the skill and took the time and did it right, and were able to turn that story into an artifact that you've been able to share an element of that with everybody. And my God, you know, many people respond to that story. And the good news is for us is like, I think it just builds that authenticity we had to be there, that vulnerability and that chance we took. It was so well worth it. And now when you hear all these other people, I mean, you hear it, I mean, it's just ridiculous how many times I've heard how people have been inspired and they, for whatever reason, and they've, I don't know, changed their life. They made a decision to live differently. Somehow, the way you had the story of our true story of down there with Micah, along with interacting the way you, I mean, it's just, so that special relationship that we created and we've been keeping alive, it really was. It is and was a powerful experience, and now it's shared with so many people, so it just intensifies that experience. So, and you're a part of it, Maria, and literally everyone that I've seen so far that's on this Zoom, in a way, you're all part of the story now. And it does have that familial, you know, we're in this together. Everybody has, you know, there's so many different kinds of people here, but we all have this shared experience that makes our lives more meaningful than if we didn't. Let's face it, it's awesome. So thank you, Chris, for being down there and recording all those events.
You know, the thing about it is, and Maria, you've seen this too, and Louis definitely have. I think you see the same thing at the Born to Run Ultra Festivals. Like the people who go for that have the same kind of worldview. And you're reminding me of one thing that's really important, Ted, was the whole time we were down the canyons, we never knew within 5 minutes, like what the hell was going to happen next. Like Billy and Jen get lost, Billy and Jen get in fights. The first morning, Micah was sick of us and just like didn't show up, you know. Every 10 minutes was like, what the hell is going to happen? And yet everyone's attitude was like, who gives a shit? Who cares? You know, it's fun. We'll just roll with it. And that's what I see at the Born to Run Ultra Festival. People show up like, hey, I don't know if I'm going to run 2 miles or 200 or just do the 0.0 beer mile. Everyone's just there to have a good time, you know, get sweaty and have some fun and make some friends.
Yeah.
Well, if I could jump in, I want to say that my perspective of the whole thing is my participation was that of just the common man, right? All of you guys were superstars before we got there.
What?
Come on, Ted. You guys.
The monkey, really? The monkey?
Come on, man.
High profile people.
I'm sorry. Am I the one? Am I the one who won 2 back-to-back Hurt 100s? I don't think so.
I won 1 Hurt 100.
What is this? What's that fake word when you're like fake humble? What's that word? Come on, Escobar. We were looking up to you. We were looking up to you.
Louis, you made the cover of a book in your see-through little running shorts. Come on.
I showed up nobody from nowhere. And then I had the opportunity to hang out with you guys. And it was
okay. Thank you for letting us be your friend, Louis. I'm serious. I mean,
2006 was a life-changing year for me. And for all of us, actually, everybody that I'm looking at on this call right now, we're all here as a result of that trip in 2006. There's not one person or one thing that has made all of this happen. It was an unintended group effort. And why I'm still drawn to it, why I'm still involved with it, look at your computer screen and look at these people. This is just 30, 40 of the hundreds and hundreds of people that, Christopher, your book has resonated with, and Ted, your story has inspired. And of course, Micah's vision has touched every single one of us. And so I'm just honored and proud to even still be involved in all of this. It's just been an incredible journey, and it continues to grow. Does anybody else have a question for Chris or Mike? Joni Anderson, unmute. Let's hear it. James, you'll be next.
Hey, Chris. You mentioned, my name's Joni. I'm in Colorado, and
hey,
Chris. you actually mentioned that sometimes the only person you see for weeks is mail carrier. So I was sworn in as a rural mail carrier on Monday. And my question to both Chris and Ed is, where would somebody go to purchase either Born to Run, the book, or Running with Sherman, or even a pair of, for Ted, a pair of Luna sandals? What would be our good resources for finding that?
Well, I can answer one question, Joni. If you can get your address to me, I can mail you a copy of Running with Sherman. I got one copy here in the house. This house is just about bare. There's like a fork, a plate, and a copy of Running with Sherman. So I'll send you all three of them. If you can go through Lewis and get me your mailing address, or you can send it to my website, chrismcdougall.com. So I'll take care of that one. That's on me.
Yeah. Now, Joni, are you talking in general? I mean, is this like a softball pitch, and I'm sort of have to be like, hey, this is Barefoot Ted. Come on down to lunasandals.com. We've got a special going on today on the Origin sandals at $19.95 fees.
Absolutely. If I'm going to have to open those lock boxes for people, order those Luna sandals, and I'm going to have to deliver them to mailboxes or the books, absolutely. I want to know where people can find them.
Well, the good news is, if they've got a computer or a telephone, they can reach us, 855-895-2627.
Thank you, Joni.
Thank you, Joni.
James Calloway.
All right. Hey, nice to meet y'all. Hey, Ted, you're sounding like
hey, James.
You're sounding like Cal Worthington.
Yeah. That's right. People don't know who he is, but he was a great used car salesman in LA in the 60s and 70s. He'd have like alligators and tigers and chimpanzees and all the rest.
Ted, finish this sentence. I'll stand upon my head.
I'll beat all the
My ears are turning red.
My ears, I'll stand upon my head until my ears are turning red. Go see cow, go see cow, go see cow. There you have it.
James, anyway, question.
Hey, so you're talking about books. Chris, I met you a couple months ago. Actually, I met you first time in Boston before your book was a big hit. But when I met you a couple months ago, I won a T-shirt. My wife was really pissed that I didn't pick Girl Trouble. How do I get a copy of that?
That book's been banned, I believe. I'm pretty sure. Oh, holy crap. I think we've lost McDougall, to be honest with you. Uh-oh. Well,
what happened?
I have a bad feeling here.
McDougall's gone?
Oh,
well, I don't see him anywhere.
All right, it's the Ted McDonald show. Here we go.
Oh my God! Well, I can pretend like I'm Chris. Ow. Okay, my Girls Trouble book. Okay. First of all, I want you to know it's got nudity in it, and it's not made for children. Okay, that's the first thing. You don't want the kids reading that one. I guess I can't answer for Christopher. Oh dear.
I see Chris's name.
Am I back in?
Oh wait, I hear him.
I hear him.
I hear him.
I don't hear him. Well, Chris, can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
Okay.
Oh, he's there. Okay.
Sure
good.
can.
All right.
Can you see me?
Yeah. Chris, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
James Calloway asked about the book Girl Trouble, and he wanted to know, is it still available for purchase? Let's move on.
Okay.
This is
I think you gave him too hard of a question.
Beach bottom. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can
this is why we're moving the fuck out of Peach Bottom. Rural internet is the worst, man. It is prehistoric internet, so I just keep getting bumped out off the Wi-Fi.
Did you hear the question, Chris?
It was something about Girl Trouble. Is the question whether it's still available?
Yes, Jacob Holloway wants to know if Girl Trouble is still available for purchase.
Yeah, I could have. If he had only done this a week ago, I'm on the hotspot. My wife's telling me to go on the hotspot. I'm on the fucking hotspot. That's not working either. Yeah, I think you can find it like on Amazon as a used copy, but it's been out of print for a couple of years, and my.
Okay. So Chris is in Pennsylvania. I believe Mika's in Hawaii. He's telling him what to do. He's just making.
Yeah.
They're just confusing themselves. Right, can you
I'm trying, man. I'm gonna try a different hotspot. Hang on a second.
You're doing fine. Anybody else have a question for Ted?
There we go.
There he is. Kevin, what do you think? Oh, Kevin Lyons. What is your question, sir? Producer Kevin.
Hey, Ted. My question for you is, what is your spirit animal and why?
Well, that's a great question. My spirit animal is, of course, the rhinoceros. And it's the rhinoceros because, why was I the rhinoceros? I think because a rhinoceros has such a beautiful name, and they're very mischievous. Rhinoceroses are my mischievous motherfuckers. Excuse my language. And by the way, I want to see somebody who can pull this off. My spirit animal actually is the coyote.
It is not. You're not the rhino.
It's the coyote. Why? The coyote is a mischievous, jester, little bastard who never answers straight. And in the Chumash tradition, 50% of the time he's lying and 50% of the time he's not. Go tell me what kind of characters like that. The monkey, of course. I'm the monkey. El Mono. Nice to meet you. El Mono Hablador. And that's the truth. Good luck.
So you're somehow a combination of coyote, monkey, and rhinoceros.
That's damn straight. That's actually true. That's true.
Do we have any other questions?
I think this show's going to go. They're going to cut this from the internet.
David Lewis. Introduce yourself, David Lewis. Who are you? What's your name?
Actually, I am a coyote.
Where are you from?
That's right. See?
Which is where I met Rob, whom I'm wondering what the hell he's building in Anders, who's out on a run, of course. Hi, Rob. So, yeah, I took up running late in life, and the Coyotes got me to go from couch to 50K in about a year. And like Ted said, I'm one of those people that Born to Run changed my life and recommend it to people as such. So my question actually to all three of you is, what's your favorite story that didn't make it into the book?
Oh, that's a good question.
Thank you.
Well, I'll tell you a story that I don't believe was in the book Born to Run. And it was, I believe, the second day that we were all together. We met in El Paso, Texas at a hotel, the whole group of us. And in the book, we read about us going out for Mexican food. We went to this place. We asked the van driver at the hotel, we wanted to go to dinner somewhere. And he said, well, there's this Mexican place in town, and it has the world's biggest margaritas. And of course, my ears perked up, and I said, really? The world's biggest margaritas? Is that a He said, oh, yeah, they're the world's biggest. I'm like, right.
Oh,
let's go there. So we went there. There was the world's biggest fucking margaritas at that place. So you read about that in the book. We drank them, and it got crazy, and Billy and Jen got nuts. But the next day, I'm not sure that this was in the book at all, but we went from, the next morning, we went from a van to the border, and I think we got into a taxi that took us to the bus station in Chihuahua, Mexico. And then we got into a bus. And there wasn't really, the bus was jam-packed. And I ended up riding a good, Billy and Jen were super hungover, and Jen had a black eye. It was pretty intense. And there was not really enough space in the bus. So I ended up riding in the luggage rack.
That's right.
In this crazy bus. So I was just snuggled up in there for hours, and it was metal and it was bumpy, and I was up there with luggage, and That's my favorite story that wasn't in the book. It doesn't involve anybody else but me, but it was pretty much suffering for hours in that luggage rack.
Well, I have a risque story that wasn't put in the book because I don't think McDougall heard it, but I don't know if you remember, Louis, but when we were doing, so back in the day, to be a true Mas Loco, you needed to be able to hike from Batopilas over to Rique, right? And we did it. We got down, we crossed the river, and then Arnolfo and a few others just got in a van or a truck and went into the rest of town. And here we are, still some distance away from the food and the lights and like happy life over there in the town. So we had to, follow the rules and do it. And on the way there, we stopped in a little town and something got to along the lines of, you said something to Jen, something like, you're looking pretty skinny or something like that. Do you remember the situation?
Me?
Yeah. No. This is Escobar. Miss
Okay.
Coyote, do you remember?
Oh, I don't remember saying it.
Oh, okay. But then this is good. So somehow he says, you're looking, okay, tell you what I'm going to do. I'm not going to tell this story because it might be inappropriate. So I'm just going to say, since you can't remember, that's a good indicator that I can't either. See, there you have it.
I think everybody here would appreciate an inappropriate story.
Everyone but one. Everyone but one. The one who can't remember first. Take that into consideration. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Now,
I was hoping that you were going to tell the story. I don't know if you recall, but you were talking a lot about drinking urine when we first met.
Okay. I mean, that doesn't completely miss the point in the book, right? So many people suddenly, blah, 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 he drank the urine, okay. But yeah, I guess I had sort of maybe had led up to the situation there of telling people about, I had at that time been fascinated by, somehow I heard Native Americans had used urine for something, and so I started researching it, and then it was like, oh, wow. Indians in India, in Ayurvedic medicine, have like some kind of used urine, so I had studied about that, and it was like, holy shit, it's legit, go, do some research. And the famous thing that I had learned at that time was 60 Minutes interviewing the Prime Minister of India back in the day, whatever it was, the Prime Minister had told to the American public, I don't think that was a good idea, how he drinks his midstream of urine every day, as part of a medicinal, not exactly something you could tell an American and they'd understand what the hell you're talking about, because everyone knows you shouldn't drink urine. Well, anyway, Barefoot Ted doesn't always follow all the rules, and I'd done a little experimentation on it, and I told that story indeed. And of course, it saved my life, not, because if you drink dehydrated urine when you're about ready to die, you don't get a satisfying, refreshing draft. What you get is sort of like smelling salts and kicks your ass back into living and says, fuck you, you're not dying, get your ass and keep going. And then, then a tall bear drops by and gives you some fluid, and you forget to tell them there's none up ahead anyway.
Hey, Ted, when you drink your own whiz, do you use a glass or you just squirt it right from the source?
Well, yes, I use a glass. I don't have that kind of, I don't know about you, dude, but that would be, maybe Sherman could drink it from his own, but I don't think any normal human being can.
Hey, I want to point out
I guess you could. I guess with the right aiming, okay, I'll give that a try. I'm sure my wife will be super happy that you inspired me to test that theory.
I can't wait to see the scene in your backyard tomorrow morning.
Wait, Chris, wait, Chris, before you go. I can see everybody on my screen. I guess all of you can too. By a show of hands, how many of you have drank your own urine?
Look, at a fire, at one time at Entre Amigos, around a fire with people appropriately drunk, every single person basically said they'd drink in there. It's like McDougall. Oh, here's one. McDougall, remember we were in Batopilas, we're at the restaurant, and you basically conjured out of us all of our whatever most obscure story about either some kind of drug experience or some, there was that element of like you dragged out of us all of us,
Ted, it was really hard to get you to tell some stories. Hey, one thing, I encourage anybody who's an acting student, if you ever have to give a monologue, go to that page in Born to Run. Because Ted, I don't know if you remember this, but as we were taking the bus out of Urique the next morning after the race, I handed you the recorder and said, hey, Ted, what was it like drinking your own whiz? And so that entire passage of the description, that is verbatim, exactly the way you said it off the top of your head that day. I couldn't change a comma. So to me, it was like pure spoken word, deranged poetry.
I remember Ted telling me that he was going to drink his pee, and I said, hell yeah, you are. You need to do it right now.
Look, it's all a foggy memory to me now. I'm 56 years old. I'm barely alive, and I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
So what was the original question, and who asked it?
It was
what things that we hadn't told in the book. So we really haven't got there yet. Oh, sorry to frame the question from the man himself who's asking the question. Let me step out.
Chris, do you
so
have
the question was, what's your favorite story that didn't make it into the book?
I honestly can't think of anything because I felt like I was milking every drop out of that experience. I think I told a pretty thorough thing. The only place where I feel like I abbreviated was, the whole adventure of getting out of the canyon was pretty hairy too, with the bus breaking down. But I got to tell you something else too, is I haven't actually looked at the book and since 2007 was the last time, or 2008 was the last time I read it. It took me so long. It was 2 years of constantly revising and rewriting and editing and working on it. By the time I was done, I couldn't bear to look at it again. And I still have that like shock aversion therapy. Like I've not opened a copy of Born to Run since 2008. So I kind of don't even remember what's in there. Just now, Ted, when you were talking, Ted, you were saying something about Batopilos, and I suddenly remembered, oh yeah, remember that funky shower with like the live wire inside?
Yeah, boy, do I ever. Shit, but man, that motherfucker almost killed me after we'd almost been killed.
But I completely forgot about that. I didn't even remember that happened until just now.
Right.
So as far as I know, everything I know is actually in that book.
Look, it's easy for me not to forget. I literally flew in the air and landed on my back. You don't forget shit like that.
Yeah.
Any other questions? It's a pretty cool opportunity. Clint,
why are we here? Where are we going? Where are we from?
Chris, you said you haven't read it since 2008, but have you listened to the audio version?
I've never listened to the audio.
Ted and Lewis, what do you guys think about your portrayal in the audio version of the book?
Absolutely false, incriminating. The man should be, I don't know, there should be a category for people like that, and they should be condemned. What do you think, Lewis?
What was the question? The audio. I did listen to it when it first came out, and
you didn't hear the question.
I did hear. I did hear it, and I did hear the audio story. And when it came out, and I heard the actor portraying my voice, and I think he said something like, "It was me interacting with Jurek," and it was like, "Hey, dude, let's go for a run, man!" And it was like this California surfer voice guy, and I'm like, "What the fuck?" Okay, I guess that's how I sound. I don't know.
What I'm kind of curious about is I recorded the audiobook for Running with Sherman, and it was the same thing. It was 12 days of 10-hour days in a tiny, unair-conditioned, sweaty-ass booth of recording nonstop. And by the time I was done, to this day, I've not listened to my own audio recording of Running with Sherman. And so I'm kind of curious, but I just can't bring myself to check it out or listen for myself. And I'll tell you what, a scary moment when you come across the first part of dialogue where it's your wife talking, and I got to make this decision. Am I going to come up with like an impersonation of my wife's voice? Or am I just going to just go full on ahead with, full South Philly accent? So I'm not quite sure how it turned out. So if anybody's listening to Running with Sherman audiobook, I would definitely appreciate some gentle feedback.
Chris, I have a question about being an author and writing a book like that. Do you ever read the book? Like, I know you're writing. Do you go back and read that page that you wrote? Do you read the book from start to finish before you present it to whoever your publisher or whoever it is that you're presenting it to?
Yeah, and you read and reread so many times that the words just bounce off your eyeballs. It gets to a point where you can't even filter them. They just don't enter your brain anymore. It's a weird phenomenon because you read every chapter and you rewrite it, and you go to the next chapter and you rewrite it, and you finish the whole book and you go through it again, and your editor gets it and you go through it again, and copy editor, you go through it again. So I would read it, every word from start to finish, maybe like 30 times, the entire book. And then when you do the audio book, you're now reading the entire thing out loud, and you're doing multiple takes of the same page over and over again out loud. And so it becomes like this kind of Guantanamo torture treatment. Like, you just cannot stand the same words in sequence ever again. And so I'm really kind of curious, because I would like to go back and reread Born to Run. I just can't get myself to open those pages. I'll tell you one more thing too, is I have a little office cabin behind the house. Ted, you know that little cabin back there?
Yeah.
It was like escaping from the hotel in The Shining. I was in that cabin so long, for 2 years, that I could not bring myself to work in there again. Like, the next 2 books I wrote at the kitchen table because I could not get myself to get over the PTSD and go back in that cabin and work again.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, your writing style, it's some kind of like wrestling of an alligator or a dragon slay. I mean, it's Christopher doesn't just sit there and like, it takes time. He puts a lot. It clearly is an effort. You get really into it. You kind of, it's amazing, it really. But I guess in the end, if nothing came out of it, it'd be like, geez, he's suffering way too much for nothing. But it turns out, you pull off these things. It's almost like you do a mine. You go deep in there. You dig out these beautiful stones. You come out and you're going, I'm not going back in that mine. Here, look at the stones. This is all I got to show, man. Not going.
That's perfect. Exactly. Yeah.
Any other questions? Laura Neiman, what you got?
Sorry, I needed to unmute. So we've talked about that particular trip and how special and unique it was, but at the same time, I know you guys have all been back down to the canyon a lot of times where you didn't have somebody writing a book about it. So do you have a special memory or something unique about a different trip where somebody wasn't writing a book about it?
I'll go. I've only been there twice. I was there in 2006, and then I was there in, was it 2014? After Micah True passed away, I felt it was important for me to go back down to Eureka and be part of the celebration that was conducted there. And it was a very beautiful trip for me to go back and sort of see the town again and run the race course again. And we spent some time with Maria Guadalupe and Micah's ashes. And we went up to Prospero's home, and we had a beautiful celebration there. I'm looking at this screen and I'm seeing some of you were there. I know that Jim Dees was there playing his flute. I see Maria, of course, she was there. Ted was there. That was an important time for me. So that was it. I've only been down there once since. And if the opportunity came for me to return, I would absolutely love to go back down there. And I would encourage any of you that are watching or listening, if you can get yourself down there for the race, do it. It used to be called the Copper Canyon Ultra Marathon. When I met Micah, that's how he referred to it. But now they call it the Ultra Marathon Caballo Blanco.
Well, I guess I'll go next. I've been, all of us already mentioned how powerful the first, dose was. And we were, that experience, regardless of whether or not Chris would have written a book about it, was in and of itself, like we said, kind of an adventure that you couldn't. But you know, I'm an adventurer, I guess. I don't usually describe myself this way, but now that I'm thinking about it, it's like I kind of thrive on putting myself out there and then learning how to get good at turning all that crazy energy of such an open-ended thing, particularly going down in the canyons. And by the way, that's where I met you just last October. So, and trying to encourage other people and see, and if you see the Sterling Noren's film called Run Free, the true life of Micah, or how's it go? The true story of Micah True or something like that. That's a great film to give you an idea up to literally filming the year that Caballo died. And it really gets you up to speed to that what Caballo started down there and what we sort of participated in has, you know, made an impact and has more or less, we got to see a kind of a fork in the road. And it's like, there's sort of all kinds of positive energies have come in there because of the sort of the beginning of paying attention and people caring and so forth and so on, and people visiting. So I've been going, I don't even know how many times now. It's a dozen, I guess, or something like that. And I really hope that aspect of people visiting down there and getting the experience, and there's other events and things, it's mostly positive because it's directly supporting kind of the people, boots on the ground, the people living in the canyon. All these kind of events really have made it so that it's a much safer and friendlier place. And the natives used to be kind of the bottom of the barrel. I mean, in Mexico, you kind of got these hierarchies, and natives have always been, and now I think particularly ever since we've been, more and more gringos are going down there in the race and all that, it's almost like they've been able to come into their own and be respected for who they are and be honored for having preserved a way of life that, you know, for most people in most places in the similar circumstances, they weren't able to do that. So the hardiness of their willingness to, you know, keep going and living the lives, and now finding a way to integrate, but now integrating not as the bottom of the barrel coming in, you know, but sort of being respected and respectable. And I'm seeing a lot of good things happen down there. So I think Chris's book gave actually a lot of Mexican nationals kind of a wake-up call for them to like, oh, wow, you know, these are treasures in our own backyard. So you're seeing now the races, you know, there are more, you know, there's the vast majority of people running it are locals, let's say, and Tarahumara and so forth. But the next group are Mexican nationals from all over Mexico coming because they got inspired, because basically, you know, the Raramuri have been known about for a long time, but Chris helped more people than ever recognize that that thing that sets them apart, that is honorable, and but at the same time we are all connected to. So I don't know, it's just amazing. So I'm keep wanting to go down there, but and it's, by the way, it's getting easier every year. I mean, oh my God, I mean, I don't know, someday I'm gonna fly in there. I mean, what the hell, some people, from the first year to now, I've gone down every time a different way. And the last time I actually flew out, and I was flying home this March, I was getting on a plane, I was like, why do all these people have masks on? I was flying from Chihuahua to Tijuana. I had no idea what the hell was going down. Somehow I made it safely home, and here I am, still breathing and living.
Hey, Chris, you're muted. You'll need to unmute yourself. Yes, look on your phone and unmute. Now we have trouble. Well, he's unmuting.
Okay,
there you go.
I did it. All right. Here's one thing I want to point out is the absolute miracle that changed everything was Maria. When Maria came into Micah's life, I mean, I think it changed not just the race, but him completely. And I mean, I think it's one thing we all noticed was how unbelievably happy and fulfilled he was, and how the race just skyrocketed. Because we know one thing about Caballo was great racer, not the best race director. You know, he didn't really like that many people. He didn't want all the noise, the commotion, the email, all that shit drove him crazy. And then Maria shows up, and like that's completely up her alley. So she brought the joy. She actually genuinely likes people. And so she brought the joy to the race, and then Caballo saw his dream coming true before his eyes, because the one thing he couldn't bring to the race was the actual enjoyment of any people coming to the race. And then Maria brought that. So I tell you one thing, whenever I think back on his passing, a lot of people say, well, you know, he died doing what he loved. I'm like, you know, I don't want to go that direction, but I will say is the dude went out on an absolute high with the unbelievable success of his race and the utter joy that Maria brought to him. That's not a bad ending.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, I tell Maria every time I see her, but we have the perspective that Maria can't have, right? We knew him before and we knew him after. So yeah, all I can say is thank God. I mean, it's grace. They call it grace in the, you know, the spiritual, like grace. Something you don't even know how, you can't even imagine how and what would make that guy. Because, and of course, what it is, it's love. Love. Yeah. It's grace. It's pure grace.
Yeah. Maria did for Caballo what Caballo did for Guadalupe. Like she took this like wild canyon dog in human form and like domesticated it and brought it into the world.
Yep, that's right. That's true. That's so good.
The first communication I had with Micah was from your book, Chris, that somebody gifted me as his coach. And so I saw him on Facebook and I said, this is a great story. And I think your vision and your message and your love for the people in Mexico is amazing. I'm indigenous. And he's like, if you want an autograph, you're talking to the wrong guy. His name's McDougall. And that's how polite he was. So yeah, he had like this really thick shell that was kind of, as you said, hard to crack, but I just, you know, cared for him as a person, and I saw the warmth in him, and I knew that, you know, if he could love his dog that much, he would eventually love more people. So, you know. And what's really beautiful, Ted, you mentioned when you go down there every year, he's a legacy, and your story brought him to that, you know, being a legacy that they just get so excited, you know, how's El Mono, how's Venado, and they still that story and the history and just they're so proud of that, and they really truly honor the Raramuri people, and then the kids race has just exploded, and that's what
amazing, yeah, mind-boggling.
Yeah, so it just, our cultures unite, and then we're there to help one another, and it's just rewarding for all the domestic nationals, you know, people from worldwide, and the United States. I mean, it's just a beautiful, beautiful, happy story.
Yeah.
I have a question for Jim. Jim is on the call, and I know that your trip to Urique was a life-changing thing for you as well. And can you talk about that a little bit, Jim?
Well, I guess, you know, I just happened to discover the book and the story and the race the year after Micah died. So I had heard the news around Micah without knowing much about who he was, and it had been sort of a story in the background. And then I listened to an interview with Chris McDougall, kind of in fresh air, that I heard that interview and said, oh, I'd had the book for a while, I'm gonna go ahead and get and read it. And it took me for a while to even connect those with the stories that I'd been hearing that year of this runner who died. So I made my plans to go down there to the race, and yeah, I guess, you know, I picked it all up a little bit at a time while I was down there. I met Bruce without really understanding Lewis's part in the story or who he was. He was just a guy I happened to end up ride sharing with. He seemed like a nice guy. We got to talking, and at some point it came out that, oh, he was the photographer with the book. But yeah, then as I got to know more of the story, and and then that was the year that Maria turned loose of Micah's ashes down there. I think that was pretty powerful for all of us who were on that time. And then getting to see the race for myself and to meet the Raramari and just be part of that whole experience. It was, I think, like for anybody else who goes down there. And then to go back and reread in the van, ride share on the way back, rereading favorite chapters from the book. And so including the one in the garden behind the restaurant, Mama Tita's, and the one where the term Mas Locos first comes out. That got to be like a real favorite one. Yeah, it was a special year. And one of the things I observed, I'll leave on this note. You were talking, Chris, I think it was, who was talking about how you guys felt like you knew each other before you went down there. And the theory I left with after that year was an adventure like that self-select for a certain type of person. Not everybody's going to go through everything you have to go to get to the bottom of the Copper Canyon. And so when you get down there, the people you meet are all people who are willing to put that much effort into having that kind of adventure. And so you're naturally going to meet a lot of really interesting people.
Yeah, that's for sure.
For sure.
We have time for maybe 2 more questions, and then we should probably wrap it up. I promised Chris and Ted an hour, and we're a little bit beyond that, and I want to respect their time. Does anybody have a question? Tyler, I know you've been down to the Copper Canyons a couple of times, or more than that. Questions? Or John, who's got a question for us? Brianne?
I'm kind of shocked that my wife's not chiming in with a question.
She's not on the call anymore. I don't see her on.
I love that. She got tired of listening to me. She's out.
You got tired of listening to those frogs.
Liv might still be on there. God bless her soul. You should all just do a little prayer for her tonight.
Well, we pray for her every night.
Every night.
I don't think she's on there. She intelligently moved on.
She's an answer to a prayer, Ted.
Yeah, exactly. That's no doubt. Right
she can hear you. And Liv,
there she is.
I'll pray for you every single night, Liv McDonald. Brianne, what's your question?
Hello. So no, it's a little bit more of a statement and a question for the whole group, just because everybody's on the same screen right now. I think that it's like kind of cool. First, the statement, like, absolutely, like, all of this is happening because of this race, this book, this group, this community, and it's just so cool because this community, this family is so far-reaching. This iteration right here is because of the whatever circumstances that we're in, but this group has still gathered. Like, even so, like, it's just so cool to me. It's beyond cool to me. And thanks everybody who is there at the grassroots level and made this happen. Like, the love, those Muppets from Space and Gonzo, that was amazing. I'm like, we found our weirdos. We have all found our weirdos. Here we are, even still gathered. Anyways, I wanted to know from the group, who has been down to the canyon? Like, who's made that crazy trek? Like, that's a lot of people, like, right? Like, that, and it is a very difficult trek to go. Why did we go? What brought us there, right? Like, why? Because family is there. Like, our hearts all gathered there. Anyway, that's it. Like, another question.
Brianne, as corny as this sounds, the one common denominator for all of this, what brought us there, is Micah True. Without that guy, none of this would be happening. None of this.
Yeah. Whoa.
What was
you guys
that?
hear that?
Was that thunder?
Lightning, man.
Nice.
Dude,
Just
is that
as
crazy?
you said Micah True. Wow.
Are you
dude.
kidding me, man?
It's Micah. It's Micah.
Holy
I love
shit.
It. I love it.
From beyond the grave, man. He is sending thunderbolts down. Wow. All right. Sorry. I'm a little cosmically shook right now.
The horse is racing.
Oh, I love it.
Off, Micah.
Wow. It was like right behind my head. He's like, I'm not done yet.
Yeah. Look, man, that's awesome.
Well, anybody else have a question?
I have a question, Chris. I don't know if anybody's addressed this in a while. Was there ever anything moving forward with the screenplay or a film adaptation? That's a big thing today. Well, I'm sure with what's going on in the world too, that's far down the list.
It's kind of crazy. And I try to be like Ted, who's always riding the flow state of happiness and not give in to the bitterness.
I think that's his answer.
You hear that again, man? That was another thunderbolt. So, yeah, what happened was, it was kind of crazy. The producers who were working on it kept turning the book over to these screenwriters who would write these versions of the story that were kind of insane. I never met or spoke with any of the screenwriters who were doing the script. And so I would see the script like, what is this? It would be completely like weird, made up versions of all of us. And it's so uninteresting. It's just so boring. Usually the scripts over and over again be versions of the cranky journalist arguing with the cranky loner. And it'd be basically the entire book or the entire screenplay would be me and Caballo arguing with each other, and then a race and we hug each other at the end. It was just terrible. And so they just struggled to get that film made, and it was script after script. And finally, mercifully, the rights reverted back to me on May 2nd, 2020, a day which will live on forever. Yes.
Nice.
And so Eric Orton, our great, awesome coach, again, without Eric Orton, there would have been no Born Run. I never would have been there. So Eric, because of the book, became friendly with a producer who's done a lot of really successful films. And he contacted me. So now he is working on a new version and hopefully turning into a film. So actually what he wants to do is actually a limited series. He's looking at like an 8 or 9 episode limited series. And he expects to have some kind of update on that in the next 6 months. So I just feel confident it's out of the hands that just kind of squandered the story for years and is now in the hands of someone that I think will actually make something happen.
Thanks. That's cool. Good to know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anybody else have any other questions or anything to share before we wrap this up? That's your hand.
I got a quick question, Lewis. I got a question about the race, man. So what are you going to do with the Ultra Festival?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the Born to Run Ultra Marathon Extravaganza, as we call it, as you know, is we've been doing it. I think this would be our 10th or 11th year, something like that. It's supposed to happen in May, and because of COVID, we had to postpone it this year. We're recording this. We're at the end of July 2020. Postponed it to October 3rd. And I don't know, Christopher. I hope that it's going to happen. I'm proceeding forward as it is happening. Unfortunately, the cases of COVID are not diminishing, and in particular in Santa Barbara County, there's been some spikes. So right now, as we record this, as I said, it's July. The event is scheduled to happen in October. All I can do is hope that between now and then things settle down and we can get back to it. If for some reason we're unable to do it, then we'll do it next year. I would say that racing in general is going to look different, at least immediately. And if we get back together and start running in groups, it's going to look different than it has. So I'm not sure how that's going to impact the Born to Run event. I don't know how that's going to impact the prom and the dancing and the wrestling and the beer miling. And as I said before, Born to Run Ultra Marathon is a
total debauchery.
It's a contact sport.
Yeah.
And so You know, I honestly, the answer is I don't know. I hope it's going to happen.
I, for one, am not sad to see the wrestling leave.
Yeah, you suffered for that one.
Clint Walsh, you got a question or a comment?
No, I was just agreeing with Chris that I, for one, am not sad to see the wrestling leave. Like I get a full year to heal up without wrestling this year.
Well,
As do you.
Let me tell you something. Both of you guys, I've seen you get your asses kicked in a wrestling match, but I've never seen either one of you get slammed in the head with a folding chair or dogpiled by Tyler Tomasello.
Tyler.
Anybody got any other final? Go ahead.
I was dogpiled by Tyler Tomasello. Hold on. I was dogpiled by Tyler Tomasello. And he was the biggest one of all the other little people that he was with when they were jumping off the stage. And Tyler was big, but all the other ones were fairly small.
I'm looking forward to the naked run again. I don't think I couldn't believe suddenly my wife and I are literally pulling off our clothes to run with 100 other people in the middle of the night. That was a bit, I don't know how often that happens. In my case, it's happened one time in my life so far. I don't visit Sweeney as much as I should because I could do it every day if I wanted to. But that was the day. I got to get out to Sweeney's place, though. He's got that gigantic peace sign, and I had a dream where I was naked wandering around it, and I think it might be an appropriate experience to encounter.
Chris and Ted, what is your guys' favorite story from Lewis's Born to Run race? Like, what is your favorite story from the race? Not Mexico.
Marijuana mile, the Barefoot marijuana mile. I'm still the champion. I got the champion on that one. Nobody can take my crown, suckers.
Yeah, I think for me it was that wrestling match, you know. That was a moment I feel like I'm just surrendering into this experience. I'm getting flopped around like a rag doll, getting asked in front of an audience. But this is what it's all about. Listen, man, if you swim in heavy surf and you expect to get pounded around, and that's what you remember about it. If it's calm waves, you know, you forget about it. So that was it for me, man. Like that was the first.
Dude, that guy was serious. He grabbed your ass and was just
Chris,
like, how do you even make a 6'4" guy move like that?
Chris, I have a picture of you, the temporary tattoos that you brought that year. I have a picture of you putting one on Gina's boob. And so I thought maybe that would be your favorite memory that you got.
Hey, you know what? I was really happy because someone blogged about that or put something online about the experience, and Chris McDougall was there putting temporary tattoos on, and he was very gentlemanly about handling women's breasts. And I said, that's how I want to be remembered.
Nice. Well, we can't even tell the other tattoos, and I don't even know where they are anymore.
Well, listen, I guess we're going to close on that story. I just want to thank all of you for popping on and being part of this podcast today, the Road Dog podcast. And there's a whole bunch of you that are watching, and I just want to say thank you to Chris McDougall and Ted McDonald and all of you that are here participating in this podcast today. Thank you so much. Thanks for everything that you've done for me personally, that you continue to do. Hopefully we're all going to get together again sometime very soon. Chris, do you have a closing anything for us?
Yeah, I mean, I just hope people appreciate how much Ted and I genuinely like each other, because, you know, I think you would get the depiction from Born to Run, because I wrote it as I experienced at the moment. And at the moment in the Copper Canyon, Ted was kind of grating on me quite a bit. But I think it's cool for people to see now what I didn't see back then. Like, the one thing that I had to ask myself afterwards was, why is it this guy bugs you, yet Jen loves him, Billy loves him, Lewis loves him? Like, maybe the problem's not Ted, maybe the problem is you. And it took me a while to appreciate. So I just want to point out, dude, you know, I don't know, man. You're a great guy, and I'm so glad I got a chance to meet you.
I'm hiring that dude as my PR man right there.
Wait. Then let's. I want to tell one of my favorite stories, and Chris, we talked about this when we did our.
Yeah.
This is an important moment in my life, and this was the Badwater 135. You know the story I'm going to tell, and
yeah.
I've heard this again, but I don't think that we've talked about this as a group, the three of us. So Badwater 135, this was the year after the our very first trip down to the Copper Canyon, or maybe it was the same year.
Same year.
Same year.
Right, so Jurek is in the Badwater 135, and so am I. And I asked you, Chris, Ted, Billy, Jen, and my friend Tyler Tajima to crew me at Badwater. And so we were all together in a van all the way across Death Valley, and then we were out by Pendleton Springs, and then beyond that, almost all the way to Lone Pine. We're probably 110 miles into this thing. This is day 2, hot as hell. I'm out running on the street. Chris McDougall is pacing me. We're side by side. Ted McDonald is in charge of the van. He's supposed to be responsible for crewing us, so our food and our water. Our lives literally are depending on Ted. And typically what happens at Badwater, the van or your crew vehicle drives up a quarter of a mile, half a mile, maybe a mile at the most, and then they drive up and then they wait, and then the runners run, they get there, and then we get fresh water and ice, and then we move on and we do it over and over again. Well, this particular time, Ted drove really, really far away, and Chris was really, really irritated. And when we finally got to the van, Ted was dancing in the street, and the two of you went chest to chest, head to head. I thought you were going to fight. You guys remember that moment?
Oh, yeah.
I do. Ted, do you remember?
Yeah, I do.
I remember Ted's head comes up to about my breastbone, you know? I'm about a good foot taller than Ted, and he was toe to toe staring me in the eye. This is like Karl Malone and Michael Jordan in the NBA Finals, face to face, sweating, furious. I remember Ted saying, "I don't give a shit. I'll fight you. I'll fight you right now. I don't care." And it basically took all the wind out of my sail. Man, God, this guy's even more pissed than I am. Yeah.
It's true. Yeah. I was wondering what it was going to feel like to fly through the air when you saw me.
Well,
but I was ready to take it because I wanted to get one in myself.
You were so mad. And I think, why the fuck is he mad? Like, I'm the one who's pissed off. And
yeah, it was the killjoy effect. You know, it's like, God damn you, motherfucker, I'm having a good time here. I'm trying to bring that energy onto you guys. And it was like, instead, I'm getting kicked in the balls because I'm an asshole. And anyway, it was a beautiful moment. I think you sometimes just got to get right to the edge, stare each other down, and let the, maybe even and then realize, that was a very interesting moment. People were telling the truth according to the way they felt at the moment. Thank God it didn't get any further than that. It just proved what an idiot I can be.
and likewise, and it completely rewired my brain. I was like, why is this guy pissed? I'm the one who's pissed. And just the fact of having to think about that just kind of, to me, just diffused the situation. And then we hopped in the van and the party went on.
Well, you and Escobar endlessly say such nice things about me. I swear to God that I almost wonder who the hell you're talking about. Yes, I'm some of those good things, but I'm just look, man, I'm not like in this giant blissful state all the time. I have my I guess everybody knows that we're human beings. I think we have as much malfeasance as anybody else, and it's learning how to tone it down and to redirect it that we're all probably getting better at doing. But I'm just a regular guy, like Escobar says, I'm just a Joe Average. Yeah, right. Yeah. Wins the hurt 100, does all this. Come on, dude. So, long story short, I am super thankful for being part of this family. And I think we have a responsibility to keep inducting more people into it through having there are endless, Chris, you mentioned it, and it's so true. People right now today are for the first time reading Born to Run. And there's a lot of people who are having the same experience you had at when you had that experience. And it's an unbelievable group of people out there, and I get to experience them a little bit more regularly. People calling into Luna Sandals, right? Obviously, they're do some investigating, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. And so I want you to know the spirit of that book continues to touch, inspire, and change people's lives more often than not positively. And so you're all part of it. And let's keep this thing going. Let's be a positive contribution to the betterment of people. Micah's vision was we can, basically let's all get together. And as we were down in the canyons, where everywhere else they're fighting and bickering and yada, yada, here we are joining together, bringing peace. Not a bad way. Give it a try.
Let's close with that.
Perfect.
Chris McDougall, thank you very much for spending your time with me and us. And Ted, thank you so much for everything you've done. And all of you that are on this call right now, all 30 of you, let's all unmute real quick and say good night and goodbye, and we'll end this podcast. You guys all unmuted?
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Bye. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night. You. After party, say what?
Shouldn't everybody moon the screen now? Just saying.
No. That's a sight you don't want to see.
Seriously, stick around for the after party.
I'm going to stop recording, but yes, all of you that want to stay and hang out for the after party, please do. Thank you all very much, Chris, Ted, everybody from the All We Do and Born to Run community. Thank you so much for everything that you've done.
Hey, man. Hey.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Good night.
Bye.
Adios.
Right on.
See you guys.